The Book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah, chapter 1. The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah. And it came to pass in the month Chislev, in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan the palace, that Hanani, one of my brothers, came, he and certain men from Judah. I asked them concerning the Jews who had escaped the exile, and about Jerusalem. And they said to me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there in the province are in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, and its gates are burned with fire. When I heard these words, I sat down and wept, and mourned for days. I fasted and prayed before the God of heaven, and said, I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that love him and keep his commandments, let thine ear now be attentive, and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the judgments, which thou commandedst thy servant Moses. Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandedst Moses, saying, if ye transgress, I will scatter you among the nations. But if ye return unto me, and keep my commandments, and do them, though you were cast out to the uttermost part of the heaven, yet I will gather them from there, and bring them unto the place I have chosen to set my name there. Now these are thy servants and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power and thy strong hand. O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant, and to the prayer of thy servants who desire to fear thy name. Prosper, I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man. For I was the king's cupbearer. Nehemiah chapter 2. And it came to pass in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine, and gave it to the king. Now I had never been sad in his presence before. And the king said to me, why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very sore afraid, and said to the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my face be sad, when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? Then the king said to me, for what dost thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said to the king, if it please the king, and if thy servant has found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may rebuild it. And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, how long shall thy journey be, and when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Moreover I said to the king, if it please the king, let letters be given to me to the governors beyond the river, that they may let me pass through until I come into Judah, and a letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace near the temple, and for the wall of the city, and for the house I shall enter into. And the king granted me, according to the good hand of my God upon me. Then I came to the governors beyond the river, and gave them the king's letters. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. But when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite servant heard of it, it grieved them exceedingly, that there was come a man to seek the welfare of the children of Israel. So I came to Jerusalem, and was there 3 days. And I arose in the night, I and a few men with me. I told no one what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. There was no beast with me except the one I rode upon. By night I went out by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon well, and to the dung port, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof, which were consumed with fire. Then I went on to the gate of the fountain, and to the king's pool. but there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. Then I went up in the night by the brook, and viewed the wall, and turned back and entered by the valley gate, and so returned. And the rulers knew not where I had gone or what I had done. I had not yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. Then I said to them, Ye see the distress we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. And I told them of the hand of my God which was good upon me, and also the king's words that he had spoken unto me. And they said, Let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. But when Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they laughed us to scorn, and despised us, and said, What is this thing that ye do? Will ye rebel against the king? Then I answered them, The God of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore we his servants will arise and build. But ye have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem. Nehemiah chapter 3. Then Eliashib the high priest rose up with his brethren, the priests, and they built the sheep gate. They sanctified it, and set up its doors, even unto the tower of Meah, and the tower of Hananeel they sanctified it. And next unto him built the men of Jericho. And next to them built Zaccur the son of Imri. The fish gate was built by the sons of Hassenaah, who laid the beams, set the doors, locks, and bars. Next unto them repaired Meremoth the son of Urijah. And next to him Meshullam the son of Berechiah. Next to him Zadok the son of Bana. Beside them the Tekoites repaired. But their nobles put not their necks to the work of their Lord. The old gate was repaired by Jehoiada the son of Paseah and Meshullam. They laid its beams, and set its doors, locks, and bars. Next unto them repaired Melatiah the Gibeonite, Jadon the Meronothite, and the men of Gibeon and Mizpah, under the authority of the governor beyond the river. Next to him was Uzziel the son of Harhiah, a goldsmith. Next to him Hananiah, one of the apothecaries. They fortified Jerusalem unto the broad wall. Opposite his house repaired Rephaiah, the son of Hur, the ruler of half Jerusalem. Next repaired Judea near his house. Then Hattush, the son of Hashabniah, Malchijah the son of Harim, and Hashub the son of Path-Moab, repaired another piece, and the tower of the furnaces. Next to him was Shallum and his daughters. They helped build too. The valley gate was repaired by Hanun and the inhabitants of Zanoah. They rebuilt it, set up its doors, locks, and bars, and also repaired 1,000 cubits of the wall unto the dung gate. The dung gate was repaired by Malchiah, the ruler of part of Beth-Haxarim. The gate of the fountain was repaired by Shallun, the ruler of Mizpah. He built it, covered it, and set its doors, locks, and bars, and also repaired the wall by the pool of Siloah, by the king's garden, and unto the stairs that go down from the city of David. After him, repairs continued up by the house of David, the tombs of the kings, and to the pool that was made in the house of the mighty. Levites, priests, and rulers like Nehemiah, son of Azbuk, Rehum, and Hashabiah, worked diligently on their assigned sections. At the water gate the Nethinims worked diligently, along with men from the hill of Ophel. Beyond the horse gate, priests built every man over against his own house, and men like Zadok, Shemaiah the keeper of the east gate, and Hananiah worked near their homes. A goldsmith named Malchiah repaired up to the house of the Nethinims and merchants, over against the Mifgad gate, and to the sheep gate, completing the circuit. Everyone, priests, Levites, goldsmiths, perfumers, rulers, merchants, and even daughters, rose up and repaired the broken walls. Some built near their houses. Others repaired gates. Some worked with zeal. A few resisted. But the wall was rising, one family, one stone, one section at a time. Nehemiah chapter 4. But when Sanballat heard that we were rebuilding the wall, he was furious, filled with indignation, and mocked the Jews. Before his brethren and the army of Samaria, he said, "What are these feeble Jews doing? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they finish it in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of rubbish which are burned?" And Tobiah the Ammonite, standing beside him, added mockingly, "Even if a fox goes up on it, he'll break down their stone wall." Nehemiah's prayer. So I prayed, "Hear, O our God, for we are despised. Turn their reproach upon their own head. Give them for a prey in the land of captivity. Cover not their iniquity, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee. For they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. So we built the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto half its height, because the people had a mind to work. But when Sanballat, Tobiah, the Arabians, the Ammonites, and the Ashdodites heard that the work continued and the breaches were being filled, they became very angry. They conspired all together to come and fight against Jerusalem and hinder the work. Nevertheless, we made our prayer unto God, and set a watch against them day and night. And Judah said, "The strength of the laborers is failing. There is too much rubble. We are not able to build the wall." And our enemies said, "They shall not know neither see, till we come into their midst and kill them, and cause the work to cease." And it came to pass that when the Jews who lived near them heard this, they came and told us 10 times, "They will come from every direction to attack us." So I set men behind the lower parts of the wall, in the exposed places. I set the people by families with their swords, spears, and bows. And I looked and rose up and said to the nobles, rulers, and the rest of the people, "Be not afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and terrible, and fight for your brethren, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses." And it came to pass that when our enemies heard that we were aware of their plan, and that God had brought their counsel to nothing, we all returned to the wall, every one to his work. From that day on, half of the men worked on construction, while the other half held spears, shields, bows, and armor. The leaders stood behind all the house of Judah. Those who built on the wall and those who carried burdens worked with one hand and held a weapon with the other. Every builder had his sword girded at his side while he built, and the one who sounded the trumpet stood by me. And I said to the nobles and the rest of the people, "The work is great and large, and we are separated upon the wall far from each other. In whatever place ye hear the sound of the trumpet, rally to us there. Our God shall fight for us." So we labored in the work. Half of them held spears from the rising of the morning till the stars appeared. Also at the same time I said, "Let every one with his servant lodge inside Jerusalem, that they may be a guard for us by night and workmen by day. So neither I, nor my brethren, nor my servants, nor the men of the guard who followed me, none of us put off our clothes except for washing." Nehemiah chapter 5. And there arose a great cry of the people and their wives against their fellow Jews. Some said, "We, our sons and our daughters are many, therefore we need grain, that we may eat and live." Others said, "We have mortgaged our lands, vineyards, and houses, that we might buy grain because of the famine." And still others cried, "We have borrowed money to pay the king's tax upon our lands and vineyards. Yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, our children as theirs, and behold, we bring our sons and daughters into bondage. Some of our daughters are already enslaved, and we are helpless, for our fields and vineyards belong to others." When I heard their cry and these words, I was very angry. Then I considered the matter carefully and rebuked the nobles and the rulers and said, "Ye exact usury every one of his brother." And I called a great assembly against them and said, "We, after our ability, have redeemed our Jewish brethren who were sold to the nations. And will you even sell your brethren? Or shall they be sold to us?" Then they held their peace and found nothing to answer. So I said again, "What you are doing is not good. Should you not walk in the fear of our God because of the reproach of the heathen our enemies? I likewise, and my brethren, and my servants, might also exact of them money and grain. But let us leave off this usury. Restore now to them, even this day, their lands, vineyards, olive yards, and houses, also the 100th part of the money, the grain, the wine, and the oil that ye exact of them. Then they said, We will restore them, and will require nothing of them. So will we do as thou sayest. Then I called the priests and made the nobles swear to do according to this promise. Also I shook out the fold of my garment and said, So may God shake out every man from his house and from his labor that does not perform this promise. Even thus may he be shaken out and emptied. And all the congregation said, Amen, and praised the Lord. And the people did according to this promise. Moreover, from the day I was appointed to be their governor in Judah, from the 20th year even unto the 32nd year of Artaxerxes the king, 12 years, I and my brethren did not eat the governor's food allowance. But the former governors had been burdensome to the people, taking food, wine, and silver. Even their servants ruled over the people. But I did not do so, because of the fear of God. Yea, also I continued in the work of this wall, and we bought no land. All my servants were gathered there for the work, and there were at my table 150 Jews and rulers, beside those who came from the nations around us. Daily provisions included 1 ox, 6 choice sheep, fowls, and every 10 days a store of all kinds of wine. Yet for all this I did not require the governor's portion, because the bondage was heavy upon the people. Nehemiah's prayer, Think upon me, my God, for good, according to all that I have done for this people. Nehemiah chapter 6. When word reached Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arabian, and the rest of our enemies that I had rebuilt the wall, and that no gap remained in it, though at that time I had not yet hung the doors and the gates, they sent a message to me. They said, Come, let us meet together in one of the villages on the plain of Ono. But I knew they intended to harm me, so I sent messengers to them with this reply. I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and come down to you? 4 times they sent me the same message, and each time I answered the same way. The 5th time, Sanballat sent his servant to me with an open letter in his hand. In it was written, It is reported among the nations, and Geshem agrees, that you and the Jews plan to rebel. That is why you are building the wall. Moreover, you want to be their king. You have also set up prophets to proclaim you as king in Jerusalem. Now this report will get back to the king. So come, let us consult together. But I sent him a reply. There is no truth in what you are saying. You are inventing these things in your own heart. They were trying to frighten us, thinking their hands will weaken from the work and it will not be done. But I prayed, Now therefore, O God, strengthen my hands. One day I went to the house of Shemaiah the son of Delaiah, the son of Mehetabeel, who had shut himself in. He said to me, Let us meet together in the house of God within the temple, and shut the doors, for they are coming to kill you. Yes, tonight they will come to kill you. But I said, Should a man like me flee? And who, being such as I am, would go into the temple to save his life? I will not go in. Then I realized that God had not sent him. He had spoken this prophecy against me because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. They had bribed him to make me afraid, to sin by running and hiding, so they would have something to smear my name with. I prayed again, My God, remember Tobiah and Sanballat according to these their works, and also the prophetess Noadiah and the rest of the prophets who tried to frighten me. So the wall was finished on the 25th day of the month Elul, in just 52 days. When all our enemies heard about this and all the surrounding nations saw it, they were greatly discouraged in their own eyes. They realized that this work had been done by the hand of our God. Even after the wall was finished, many letters went between the nobles of Judah and Tobiah, for many in Judah were bound to him by oath. He was connected by marriage to Shechaniah the son of Era, and his son had married the daughter of Meshullam, the son of Berechiah. Moreover, they spoke well of Tobiah before me and reported my words to him. And Tobiah continued to send letters to make me afraid. Nehemiah chapter 7. After the wall was finished, and I had set up the doors, and the gatekeepers, singers, and Levites had been appointed, I gave charge over Jerusalem to my brother Hanani, along with Hananiah, the commander of the fortress. He was a faithful man, one who feared God more than most. I said to them, "Do not let the gates of Jerusalem be opened until the sun is hot, and while the guards are still on duty, shut the doors and bar them. Appoint guards from the people of Jerusalem, each at his post, and each in front of his own house." Now the city was large and spacious, but there were few people in it, and the houses had not yet been rebuilt. Then my God put it into my heart to gather the nobles, the officials, and the people to be enrolled by genealogy. And I found the book of the genealogy of those who had come up first from the exile. In it was written, "These are the people of the province who came back from the captivity of those exiled by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. They returned to Jerusalem and Judah, each to his own town. They came with Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Nehemiah, Azariah, Ramiah, Nahamani, Mordecai, Bilshan, Mispereth, Bigvai, Nahum, and Baanah." The list continued with the names and numbers of families. The descendants of Parosh, 2,172, of Shephatiah, 372, of Arah, 652, and many others. It recorded not only the families of the people, but also of the priests, Levites, singers, gatekeepers, and temple servants. Some among them could not show their father's house or lineage, whether they were truly of Israel. And some of the priests searched for their genealogical records, but could not find them, so they were considered unclean and were excluded from the priesthood. The governor told them not to eat of the most holy things until a priest could consult the Urim and Thummim. The whole assembly together was 42,360 people, not including their 7,337 male and female servants, and 245 singers, along with horses, mules, camels, and donkeys. Some of the heads of families gave offerings for the work. The governor gave to the treasury 1,000 gold drachmas, 50 bowls, and 530 garments for priests. Others gave according to their ability, gold, silver, and supplies for the temple. So the priests, the Levites, the gatekeepers, the singers, some of the people, the Nethinims, and all Israel settled in their towns. And when the 7th month came, the people were in their towns, ready for what would come next. Nehemiah chapter 8. When the 7th month arrived, and the people of Israel were all settled in their towns, something beautiful happened. All the people gathered together as one in the open square before the water gate. They called for Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded Israel. So Ezra the priest brought the law before the assembly, men and women, and all who could understand. It was the first day of the 7th month, and he read it aloud from early morning until midday, in the presence of all the people gathered there, men and women, listening intently. Ezra stood on a wooden platform prepared for the occasion. Beside him stood leaders like Mattithiah, Shema, Ananiah, Uriah, Hilkiah, and Maaseiah on one side, and Pedaiah, Mishael, Malchiah, Hashum, Hashbaddanah, Zechariah, and Meshullam on the other. Ezra opened the book in the sight of all the people, for he was standing above them, and as he opened it, the people stood up. Then Ezra blessed the Lord, the great God. And all the people answered, "Amen, Amen," lifting up their hands. They bowed their heads and worshipped the Lord with their faces to the ground. The Levites, Jeshua, Bani, Sherebiah, Jamin, Akub, Shabbatai, Hodijah, Maaseiah, Kelita, Azariah, Jozabad, Hanan, and Pelaiah, helped the people understand the law. They read from the book of the law of God distinctly, giving the meaning so the people could understand the reading. And as they listened, the people began to weep. They were overwhelmed by the words of the law. Then Nehemiah the governor, Ezra the priest and scribe, and the Levites who taught the people said to them, "This day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not, nor weep. Go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions to those who have nothing prepared. For this day is holy unto our Lord. Neither be ye sorry, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. So the Levites calmed the people, saying, Hold your peace, for this day is holy, do not grieve. And all the people went their way to eat and drink, and to send portions, and to rejoice greatly, because they had understood the words that were declared to them. The next day, the heads of the families, with the priests and Levites, gathered to Ezra to study the words of the law more deeply. And they found written in the law that the children of Israel should dwell in booths during the feast of the 7th month, as it was commanded by Moses. So they issued a proclamation throughout the towns and in Jerusalem, Go forth to the mountain and fetch olive branches, myrtle branches, palm branches, and branches of thick trees to make booths, as it is written. And the people went out and brought them. They made booths on the rooftops, in their courtyards, in the courts of the house of God, in the open square at the water gate, and in the square of the gate of Ephraim. So all the congregation that had returned from the captivity made booths and dwelt in them. Since the days of Joshua the son of Nun, the people of Israel had not done so with such joy. And day by day, from the first day to the last, Ezra read from the book of the law of God. They kept the feast for 7 days, and on the 8th day there was a solemn assembly according to the command. Nehemiah chapter 9. On the 24th day of the same month, the people of Israel assembled once more, but this time with fasting, wearing sackcloth and with dust on their heads. Those of Israelite descent separated themselves from all foreigners. They stood, confessed their sins and the sins of their fathers, and for a fourth of the day they listened as the book of the law of the Lord their God was read aloud. For another fourth of the day they confessed and worshipped the Lord their God. Then the Levites, Jeshua, Bani, Kadmiel, Shebaniah, Buni, Sherebiah, Bani, and Shenani, stood on the stairs and cried out to the Lord with loud voices. And other Levites, Jeshua, Kadmiel, Bani, Hashabniah, Sherebiah, Hodijah, Shebaniah, and Pethahiah, said, Stand up and bless the Lord your God forever and ever. Blessed be your glorious name, which is exalted above all blessing and praise. You alone are the Lord. You made the heavens, the highest heavens with all their host, the earth and all that is on it, the seas and all that is in them. You give life to all, and the host of heaven worships you. They remembered how God chose Abram, brought him out of Ur, gave him the name Abraham, and made a covenant to give his descendants the land. They praised God for keeping his promise, for delivering their ancestors from Egypt, for dividing the Red Sea, and for leading them with a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. God came down on Mount Sinai, spoke with them from heaven, gave just ordinances and true laws, made known his holy Sabbath, and provided for them manna from heaven and water from a rock. But they and their ancestors were proud, stiff-necked, and did not obey. They refused to listen and even tried to return to Egypt in their hearts. But God was ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger and abundant in kindness, and he did not forsake them. Even when they made a golden calf, saying, This is your God, God in his great mercy did not abandon them. For 40 years he sustained them in the wilderness. Their clothes did not wear out, and their feet did not swell. He gave them kingdoms and multiplied their children like the stars. Yet even after all this, when they lived in fortified cities and enjoyed vineyards, olive groves, and abundance, they turned away again. They were disobedient, killed prophets, and committed terrible blasphemies. So God gave them into the hands of their enemies. Yet every time they cried out, he heard from heaven and delivered them according to his mercy, time after time. They prayed, Now therefore, O our God, the great, the mighty, and the awesome God, who keeps covenant and mercy, do not let all the trouble seem small before you. For you have been just in all that has come upon us, for you have dealt faithfully, but we have done wickedly. Our kings, our princes, our priests, and our fathers have not kept your law. They did not serve you in the land you gave them or turn from their wicked works. They admitted that even now they were servants in their own land, and the kings of foreign empires ruled over them because of their sins. They had a little revival, but they were not free. They were still under foreign control, and the abundance of the land was no longer fully theirs, and so they declared, "Because of all this, we make a sure covenant and write it, and our leaders, Levites and priests seal it." Nehemiah chapter 10. Following their heartfelt confession and covenant, the leaders of Israel came forward to put their names in writing, sealing their solemn vow to follow the Lord. Nehemiah the governor, the son of Hakaliah, was the first to sign. With him were priests like Zedekiah, Sariah, Azariah, and many others, Levites, leaders, and family heads, altogether 84 names. These were the representatives of the people, committing not only themselves but their households to keep God's covenant. The rest of the people, the priests, Levites, gatekeepers, singers, temple servants, and all who had separated themselves from the surrounding nations to follow the law of God, along with their wives, sons, and daughters who were old enough to understand, also joined in this solemn oath. They bound themselves with a curse and an oath to walk in God's law, which had been given through Moses, and to observe and do all the commandments of the Lord, his statutes and his judgments. They pledged, and not to intermarry with the peoples of the land, and not to buy or sell on the Sabbath or holy days, even if the surrounding people offered goods, to let the land rest every 7th year, and cancel debts owed during that time. They agreed to give yearly support for the temple, including 1/3 of a shekel for its daily operations, the showbread, continual grain offerings, burnt offerings, Sabbaths, festivals, and the sacred things. They would bring the first fruits of their crops and orchards, the firstborn of their sons and animals, and the tithes of all they produced to the house of God. They carefully restored the system, and priests and Levites would collect and store offerings, and people would bring the best of their grain, wine, and oil. Seen Levites would bring 1/10 of the tithe to the storehouses, and all the people, united in voice and purpose, ended their vow with one final promise: "We will not forsake the house of our God." Nehemiah chapter 11. Now the leaders of the people were already living in Jerusalem, the holy city. But the rest of the people cast lots to bring one out of every 10 families to live in Jerusalem, while the other 9 remained in their towns. And the people blessed all those who willingly offered to live in Jerusalem. It wasn't just about moving, it was about sacrifice, because life in the city meant being close to both the temple and the enemies. It meant vigilance and service. These were the faithful core, rebuilding more than walls. They were rebuilding a nation's heart. In Jerusalem lived people from every walk: Judahites, Benjaminites, priests, Levites, gatekeepers, and temple servants. Each group had men counted by name, recorded with care. From the tribe of Judah, there were 468 valiant men. From Benjamin, 928 men, with Joel as the overseer. Among the priests were men like Jedaiah, Sariah, and Amashai, courageous and faithful in their duties, 822 of them who carried the daily work of the house of God. The Levites included supervisors of worship and those responsible for the external work of the temple. Among them was Mattaniah, who led the people in giving thanks and praise, and Bakbukiah, who was his trusted second. Gatekeepers like Shallum, Akub, and Talmon were stationed at the gates, keeping watch over the sacred entrances. Altogether in Jerusalem, there were 3,044 people officially listed. But beyond the walls, in the cities of Judah, the rest of Israel, priests, Levites, farmers, and families lived in their ancestral lands. Some Levites even lived among the Benjaminites. The singers, sons of Asaph, were stationed in Jerusalem under the king's order, keeping the worship going day and night, as had been commanded. And over all of them, Uzzi the son of Bani, descended from Asaph, served with faith. The king's command was clear: praise must never cease. These weren't just names, they were the heartbeat of a people rebuilding not only walls and worship, but hope. Nehemiah chapter 12. Now these are the names of the priests and Levites who came up with Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, and with Jeshua, Sariah, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Maluch, Hattush, and others, leaders of the priestly families, recorded carefully as part of the sacred legacy. In the days of Jeshua, the Levites included Kadmiel, Sherebiah, and Judah, and also Mattaniah, who led the songs of thanksgiving with his brothers. Their ministry of music wasn't occasional, it was built into the very life of Jerusalem. Generations were listed, the heads of priestly houses, family by family. Scribes made sure their names were preserved through the reign of Darius the Persian, noting who served faithfully in the temple, who kept watch at the gates, and who led the worship of the people. Then came the day, the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem. Nehemiah gathered the Levites from all around to come to Jerusalem to celebrate with gladness, with thanksgivings, and with singing, cymbals, harps, and lyres. From the countryside and surrounding villages, from Netophathite lands and Beth Gilgal, the singers and their families came, because the music of this moment had been generations in the making. The priests and Levites purified themselves, the people, the gates, and the wall. And then Nehemiah organized two great choirs to give thanks. One group, accompanied by leaders and musicians, went up on the right side of the wall, past the dung gate, toward the fountain gate, and on up the stairs of the city of David, led by Ezra the scribe. The second group, with Nehemiah following, went to the left, above the Tower of the Ovens, to the broad wall, past the Ephraim gate, and over the gate of the guard, meeting their fellow worshippers at the temple of God. They entered the house of God with instruments of David, lyres, cymbals, and harps filling the air with sound. The singers sang loudly, and the people rejoiced greatly. The joy in Jerusalem was so great that it was heard far away. On that same day, leaders were appointed over the storehouses for the contributions, first fruits, and tithes. Offerings were gathered according to the law, from the towns, from the fields, so that the priests and Levites would have what they needed to serve. Everyone rejoiced because the priests and Levites were faithful in their service. The singers and gatekeepers kept watch according to the command of David and Solomon. And in those days, all of Israel gave the portions for the singers and the gatekeepers, setting aside what was holy. Even the Levites gave a tithe of their tithe to the priests, the sacred rhythm of worship and support restored. Nehemiah chapter 13. On that day, they read aloud from the book of Moses in the hearing of the people, and it was found written that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever enter the assembly of God. For they had not met the children of Israel with bread and water, but had hired Balaam to curse them, though our God turned the curse into a blessing. So when the people heard the law, they separated all those of mixed ancestry from Israel. But something troubling had happened during Nehemiah's absence. While he was back in Babylon, serving King Artaxerxes, Eliashib the priest, who had authority over the temple storerooms, had allowed Tobiah, yes, the enemy Tobiah, to live in a large chamber of the house of God. This room was supposed to be for storing tithes, grain offerings, incense, and sacred items. When Nehemiah returned to Jerusalem and discovered this, he was furious. He threw all of Tobiah's household items out of the room. He ordered the chamber to be purified and had the rightful things, grain offerings, incense, and vessels, restored to their place. Nehemiah also learned that the Levites had not received their portions, and so they had abandoned their duties and gone back to their farms. He confronted the officials. Why is the house of God forsaken? He gathered the Levites and set them back in their stations. The people of Judah then brought their tithes of grain, wine, and oil to the storerooms. Nehemiah appointed faithful men to oversee the treasuries so everything would be handled with integrity. He prayed, "Remember me, O my God, concerning this, and do not wipe out my good deeds which I have done for the house of my God and its services." Then came another crisis. On the Sabbath day, people were treading wine presses, loading donkeys, and bringing all kinds of goods into Jerusalem to sell. Even merchants from Tyre were selling fish and wares inside the city gates on the Sabbath. Nehemiah confronted the nobles of Judah. "What is this evil thing you are doing, profaning the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers do the same, and did not our God bring all this disaster upon us in this city? Yet you bring more wrath by profaning the Sabbath." So he commanded the city gates to be shut before sundown on the Sabbath, and not reopened until after. He stationed his servants at the gates to keep merchants out. When they camped outside the walls, hoping for a chance to sell, he warned them sharply, and they did not return. He also ordered the Levites to purify themselves and guard the gates to keep the Sabbath holy. Another prayer rose, "Remember me for this also, O my God, and spare me according to the greatness of your mercy." Then Nehemiah discovered that many Jews had married foreign women from Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. Half their children couldn't even speak Hebrew. They spoke the languages of their mothers. Nehemiah rebuked them, cursed some, struck a few, and pulled out their hair. He made them swear, "You shall not give your daughters to their sons, nor take their daughters for your sons or yourselves. Did not Solomon king of Israel sin because of these things? Even among many nations there was no king like him, yet foreign women caused even him to sin." Among the offenders was a son of Eliashib the high priest, who had married a daughter of Sanballat the Horonite. Nehemiah drove him away. He concluded, "Remember them, O my God, for they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and the Levites." So Nehemiah cleansed the people from all foreign influences, re-established duties for priests and Levites, and restored the system of offerings and the observance of Sabbaths and feasts. And then, with a final prayer from a servant's heart, he closed his account. "Remember me, O my God, for good,